Rev up your engines! An honest appraisal of a Kia Forte. This is a 2017 model. I'm going to tell you the truth, the good, the bad, the ugly. Why do people buy these cars in the first place? When you could get a Toyota Corolla, same year as this, 2017, for $1,005 more, $1,005 more than this, I would go Corolla all the way. Now, the guy who owns this isn't stupid. That was his father's car, so he's getting it for almost nothing, right? And he's using it for Uber on a highway, gets 40 miles a gallon. In town, he gets 30. So, for him, it has actually been a good car. Mind you, you got to take in consideration everything with a Kia. If this had been a 2014, it would have been a horrible car. All the engines blew up. They didn't build them right. They had problems with the machinery, and the engines blew up. Kia fixed some of them, but it was a real rat's nest. Because if you think about it, most dealerships, they don't have anybody that rebuilds engines anymore, right? So they had to fix them. Well, let me tell you, I had customers had them fixed. Within a year, they broke again. Then they said, oh, well, we already fixed it, so now it's on you. Well, this is a 2017. They did not have engine problems. Double overhead cam, 16 valve. And as you can see here, 2-liter, 4-cylinder, 100-something thousand miles. Does not burn oil. Never has. His father had it before him. As you can see here, it was made in Mexico, but then again, it was put together in Mexico. Toyota puts the Tacomas together in Mexico. They don't have any problems with it. Now, some of them get leaky tail lamps, and this one you can see hasn't leaked at all. Not that big of a deal, unless you don't check it and you let it go too far. And then the water starts shorting things out. And there's so many crooked mechanics out there, you get an electrical short, and they might charge you $1,200 to fix something when the only thing wrong was the tail light, and they'll sell you the kitchen sink. So, if you do have a Kia, always check the tail lamps. And if they got water in them, here's my advice. Take the Kia assembly and throw it in a garbage can and buy an aftermarket one for less than half the price, and you won't have to think about it anymore, right? Not that big of a deal as long as you don't let it go too far. Now we're going to check out the transmission when we plug everything in, but before we do that, we'll just kind of look around. Nice interior, black and chrome. It's a compact car, but it's got a reasonable amount of space in the back seat. He uses it for Uber. So this car's actually making him money. For $1,005, you could have got a Toyota Corolla at the same year. Toyota sold about 3 times as many. They sold like 100,000 something of these. Toyota sold 300,000 something Corollas, so they sold 3 times as many. I mean, it only makes sense. The market is telling you there what people want to buy. It was his father's car, and it worked okay for him, and now he's driving it around. I do have to say, to be honest, if it was a Toyota Corolla, you know, I'll probably just say to him, okay, we'll hook up my computer. We won't find anything wrong. Bring it back when it's got 400, 500,000 miles on it, you know? And I doubt if this will go that far, right? But what do they say? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. And in this case, he's making money on Uber, 40 miles a gallon on the highway, 30-something in town. Hasn't had any problems. He changed the spark plugs himself at about 100,000 miles. Then the coils went out, but it turns out they had some kind of recall Kia, so they replaced the coils for free. Not that big of a deal. You can do it yourself, right? It's been a really good car so far, but you're always going to worry about the transmission in a Kia if it's an automatic transmission. So you can see they kind of hid the OBD ports hiding in here. There it is. It's black, so it's invisible, but I see it. All right, we're plugging in. Turn on my auto scan tool, and I'm happy because it's got a key. I like keys, harder to steal, and a real parking brake. Hey, I like it. I hate that electronic crap. We want to do a good analysis of the transmission. We'll do the whole car, but see, it's already picked it up, knows what it is. USA Kia Forte 17, 2-liter. Okay. We'll do a topology scan. Those are the best ones. Goes through all the different CAN networks, and while it's doing it, we can see it's held up pretty good so far. Seats aren't torn up or anything. No warpage. No sticky goo or the plastic's coming off. It's all in pretty good shape. Okay. Now, we can see it's got 106,214 miles on it. It's green except for this one engine problem. There's actually 3 codes, and they are EVAP emissions codes. Okay, and he told me about that. Now, if you live in a state that does emissions testing, you're going to have to fix it. And in this case, it gives you the possible causes. Faulty vent valve, faulty circuits, faulty ECM, right? It's probably a bad vent valve. But as you can see, there's no inspection certificate because this car came from a state that does not do any type of car inspections, emission, or otherwise. So just like me here in Tennessee, we don't care. So some stupid vent isn't working right. Car runs fine, gets 40 miles a gallon on the highway, 30 in mixed driving. Who cares? Car runs fine. I mean, if you want, you could go through the whole system. It's probably the bad evap canister vent valve. Buy that. A lot of times you got to buy the whole evap canister assembly that costs hundreds of dollars. But in this case, it runs fine. So we don't care because we're in a non-testing state. First, we'll look at the engine data. We'll start her up. Starts right up. Drive data. Here we go. You can see while we're waiting, his gas mileage average was 41.2 miles a gallon. He's got to be working pretty good to get that kind of gas mileage. Everything's black. There's no reds or anything. It even shows you the state of health of the battery. It's 99% good. That is pretty cool. It's showing you what shape your battery's in without even having to take anything out. You can see there's no emission-related misfire in any of the cylinders, even though the stupid emissions system is a little bit off because that vent valve probably, it's not affecting the running of the car whatsoever. So let's go to the crux of the matter, the automatic transmission. So we know there's no hard codes, but we're going to look at the data here. See if anything is approaching off. It'll only turn red if it's 20% or more off, so you can have little problems, and it will not show, but this will show it. You can check all kinds of information while you're driving the car. Look at the historical information, and it's all looking good. So let's take it for a spin. This is an older car, so it doesn't have backup camera on it, but who cares? We can see out the mirror, it works good enough. Yeah, I say, oh, the CVT transmissions are better for gas mileage, blah, 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 right? He was getting 41.4 miles a gallon driving here. It's an automatic. What do you need a CVT for? They're not really going to get any different gas mileage, and they're going to run like crap. This is a regular transmission, they say. Just watch the tachometer. See, it's shifting gears. There goes the shifting gears again. It's an actual automatic transmission. So here we go to our little drag strip, knowing we don't have a horrible CVT transmission, but instead we have a relatively smooth shifting automatic transmission. We'll see what it does under load. We'll make sure there's nobody behind us so we don't get rear-ended. Here we go. Good smooth shift. Really smooth shifting, 100,000 miles. Shifts like it did coming out of the factory floor, so I gotta say, the real automatic transmission works pretty good in this car. Now, as you can see and hear, if you listen, bearings are still good, no bearing noises. Okay, we'll go 40, we'll do a passing test. We'll get going 40, then we'll floor it. Not a race car, but you can see, we're doing 60 now. Plenty enough power to pass. Cruise all day at 80 or whatever speed you want to go at. It is a 2-liter. After all, it's not a tiny little 4-cylinder. It's not a 1.4, it's not a 3-cylinder. It's a 4-cylinder 2-liter, which is a decent size. Smooth as can be. Hey, really. I'm not a Kia fan, but I gotta say, I'm kind of a fan for this, especially since he got it from his father. It wasn't like he paid the almost same price as a Corolla for it. It's an actual automatic transmission, which still works like a charm. And number two, surprising to me, this Kia is in excellent shape, even though it's got 100-something thousand miles in it, and he uses it for Uber. Now, I personally would have paid the extra $1,005 and bought a new Toyota Corolla, but his father bought this. You can see the paint's held up. Everything has held up in this thing, other than the evap canister vent valve, and since he's in a state that does new emissions, we don't give a crap about that. It's not affecting the running of the car one iota. If you're looking at a used one of these, and it's not a 14 where the engines blew up, it's a 2017 like this with the 2-liter naturally aspirated and an actual 6-speed automatic transmission in it, take it to a guy like me, and if we check it out and say it's good, probably get a pretty good deal on a vehicle that can still go quite some time. Sure, I'd buy a Toyota Corolla, but don't ever mistake money versus value. Cause I can guarantee you can pick one of these things up for 1/3 to 1/2 the price of a used Corolla. Everybody knows the Corollas are worth money and they run forever. These have kind of a bad image. This particular Forte with this engine and transmission being 2017 that didn't have engine problems, he uses that Uber. Car makes him a lot of money. He came over here, it was 41.5 miles a gallon driving it here. Hey, you can't really complain about that. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.